What's going on, family? I have a confession to make. I love bad movies like Leprechaun, Zoolander, Paranormal Activity 2, Pootie Tang. I enjoy these films a little bit more than I should. And again, they're not the best films whatsoever. They're pretty much some of the worst films. So that's what I want to talk about today. Some of the worst films that I enjoy of all time. I want to start this video off by saying that this is not in any particular order. I just went through some of the Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb ratings and kind of seen what caught my eye. And those are the top 10 films that I chose from. So here we go. Coming in at number 1 is going to be Baby Geniuses. Baby Geniuses was one of those films that came out in the late 90s. And it was supposed to be about these kids. They were able to talk, but you couldn't understand them because you were an adult. And at the time, again, it was something new with babies talking. I don't even want to consider it new because we had Who's Talking Now, things of that nature with like dogs. And I just feel like it was something in the 90s where they just said, forget it, we're just going to make the animals and the babies talk and we're going to make a movie out of it. Because these movies got decent budgets for especially that time. And I don't want to say that they made a lot of money, but they were able to make sequels off of that film. So obviously something went right. So Baby Geniuses is number 1. Number 2 is going to be one of my all-time favorite films to watch with the family, and that's going to be Kazam. The reason why Kazam is on this list is because Kazam is one of those things that just remind me of good times when I watch it. I just remember living in, it was in Chicago. It was, we were in one of those brick houses, them duplexes. It was on Broadway. And I just remember watching Kazam for the first time there. And every time I watch it, it kind of just brings me back to that time. My kids enjoy it. I enjoy it. So the fact that it had like a low rating on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb is crazy to me because that movie is fantastic. Coming in at number 3, I'm going to bring this film up. The reason why I'm bringing this film up, 1, I forgot about this film. 2, anytime it used to come on like network television and I had live TV at the time, I haven't had live TV in like 10 years, by the way. Besides like NBA games, that's about all I watch for the most part live. But King's Ransom is with Anthony Anderson, and I get why it had a low rating. I understand it completely. It's not a film that I'm saying like, hey, you guys, you should go out there and watch it. But every time that film came across, it caught my eye, and then I end up watching the whole film. It's just one of those films that keep you intrigued. If you're not doing anything, you throw it on. It ain't the worst film in the world. There's worse films out there. So the fact that this film was on there, I was just like, I get it, but I don't mind the film. All right? So King's Ransom is number 3. Coming in at number 4, we're going to be talking about A Code Named The Cleaner. This is with Cedric the Entertainer. It is, I don't want to say slapstick comedy. It's literally supposed to be like a comic spy espionage type film, but it just doesn't work in anything other than comedy as far as when you watch this film. Cedric the Entertainer is hilarious in it. Lucy Liu's in it. And one of my favorite comedians, D. Ray Davis, is in the film. And he's a janitor who's trying to become a rapper. It's the most hilarious shit in the world. You should definitely go watch it if you haven't watched it. So, Code Name the Cleaner, number 4. Number 5 is going to be House of the Dead. House of the Dead was one of those films where it came out around 2003. It was a film that came out because it was based off a video game. And at that moment in time, Resident Evil came out and it was making this splash. It was making big box office numbers. Not huge, but it was $20 million budgets and it was returning with $130 million and stuff like that at box office. So everybody was trying to get in on the video game movie thing, right? So House of the Dead was one of those films that did it. It wasn't good. It's not good, but I guarantee you if you watch the film, you're going to be able to get through it. And maybe it's because I remember the game, and that's probably why I don't mind the film that much. It was an okay film. And again, I want to remind you guys that these films are in no particular order. I'm just going based off of what caught my eye as I was going. So now that we're halfway through the list, go ahead and like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Leave down below what your thoughts is on the video so far. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Let's go into the next 5 films. So coming in at number 6 is going to be a film. It's called Crossover. One of my main reasons of bringing this film up is because not only was it on the list, but I remember going to the movie theater and seeing it for the first time. Something happened with the projector. I believe like some film caught fire, so we had to leave the theater. And I had to come back and watch the film. And I was upset at the time that I had to come back and watch the film. But again, it was one of those films that if it came on BET, I was watching it. It's not horrible. It's just what they were trying to portray at the time. It was an hour and 20 minutes. They were trying to get a lot in as far as like, at this time, it was and one before it became shorts, socks, and shoes. It was literally a street ball league, and they were doing dope stuff. So Crossover was supposed to be their entry into film. And Hot Sauce, which was another, I don't know the guy's actual name, but he was another and one street baller, and he was in the film. Eva Marcella, something like that, she was in the film. She was like the girlfriend that made everything go left. And it was just, it's funny when you watch it now, but you're not going to mind watching this film. I'm telling you, it's one of those stories that's out there. If you like soap operas, I feel like you're going to enjoy that film. All right. Number 7 is going to be a film none of you have probably heard about, and it's called Simon Says. The fact that this film is up here and Double Team is it, and the reason why I'm bringing up Double Team is because both of these films had Dennis Rodman in there. But Simon Says was real corny, but it was enjoyable. Like, he had a sidekick. The sidekick was a monk. It was just a weird film. It was weird. Like, the 90s was just a time where they were throwing things at the wall, hoping that it stick. Dennis Rodman was like this agent type of dude. And he knew all these action moves with guns, and it was bad, but it's enjoyable. So if you guys haven't seen Simon Says, go watch it. It is, I don't want to say it's hilarious because it's not meant to be a comedy. It's an action film, but it's a 90s action film. It's back to those things where, you see the guy, he's on a motorcycle. He's on a motorcycle that equals badass in every movie for some odd reason, especially in the 90s. That's just what happened. Just think of Terminator 2. There you go. All right. So coming in at number 8 is going to be Three Strikes. Three Strikes is with Brian Hooks, Faison Love, Monique is in the film. The fact that this movie is on a low, like, Rotten Tomatoes score, like it's the lowest of the low, it's criminal to me. Like, this movie is hilarious in all aspects. Brian Hooks, he just got released out of jail, and it's like through this whole hour and 25, 30 minutes, he just couldn't catch a break. It just kept going, and it was hilarious all the way through. The fact that this film is on a low rating, I don't understand it. This movie is hilarious. If you haven't seen Three Strikes, definitely go check it out. Don't watch it on like BET or nothing like that. Like, if they have a streaming service that has the actual version of it with the hard R, rated R version of this, watch that, because this film is going to have you rolling the whole time. The BET version, it just cuts out and edits out a lot of stuff. And on top of that, it edits out the curse words, and that throws off the jokes a lot. So I don't want you to watch that and be like, Kadeem, you're tripping. So there you go. Three Strikes. So the next one we're going to get into is Problem Child. Problem Child is another one that I enjoyed growing up. It was one of those films that my brother-in-law put on to just say, like, hey, you should watch this. This is you, so on and so forth, just talking mess, right? And I just remember watching it for the first time, and it's been a hit in the household ever since. Like, it was just a bad kid. Like, it was I don't know what happened with that. It was like, we had Dennis the Menace, so I remember that. And then Problem Child became a thing. So that was a little weird, but either way, we had it. So Problem Child is another one of those comedy films, and it's like this badass kid, you just like why are we not using a belt at this point? Like that's this child. Like definitely go check this movie out. It is hilarious all the way through. So check it out. Coming in at number 10, the last film we're going to talk about today is A Low Down Dirty Shame. I literally just purchased this film and watched it the other day, so it's crazy that it's on this list. A Low Down Dirty Shame. Back to my Wayans brothers spiel. The Wayans can do no wrong in my eyes. Like, I take that back. They do some bad things out there as far as film and TV wise, but for the most part, they be hitting it on the head, and they don't get enough credit. A Low Down Dirty Shame is a classic. Jada Pinkett. Who else was in that film? My man from Rock. I keep forgetting his name. And it's just, that film is just phenomenal. It's timeless to me. You can watch it today. Of course, you can tell that it was the 90s, but just watching that film just reminds me of like the low budget. I don't want to say like the Mac and stuff like that, but it's low budget. It's action. It's like a blaxploitation film for the 90s. With comedy, and I guess blaxploitation had a lot of comedy in it. But you kind of get my spiel. It's a very good movie. Y'all should definitely go watch it. It's action in there. It's comedy in there. It's just good all the way through. So those are my top 10 films, the top 10 worst films that I enjoy. So you guys should go check those out if you haven't. And if you guys have seen them, go ahead and leave it in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on them. Do you have a list? Put your top 10 list in the comments. Hell, if you only have a top 5, put your top 5 list in the comments. Let's discuss these things. I appreciate y'all for tuning in for another episode. I'll see y'all next time. Peace.